Hi, my name is Alexa. I'm an incoming core member for the Chicago Northwest Indiana region. I just got back from interview day and all of the events that happened this past weekend. So I just want to talk about my experiences there and my experiences in the core in general. So, number one, I just want to say that the communication between the staff and the core member has been awesome. I feel as though the expectations the staff has of us have been very transparent and communicated it in a way that we completely understand. And vice versa. I think it's been easy for me to be like, I need more clarification on this topic, or I don't understand this, and it gets cleared up right away by the staff. So thank you for that. It's really, really appreciated. Um, it's been easy to talk about fears and goals and concerns and give constructive criticism on both ends. I just want to say that my major concern with, you know, cultural commitments and community is that I think that the majority of core members I've met thus far, I mean, I haven't met everyone, but I don't think that they're representative of the students we're going to be teaching. Looking around the room on interview day, it was a mostly white room, and I understand that that's an identity I hold, but I wasn't expecting everyone to hold that identity. I even believe that some of my fellow core members don't really understand systemic oppression or privilege, just because I heard some things that made me stop and think, like, hold on, does this person, actually understand the community in which they're going to be teaching? And it seems as though they don't, uh, just to be honest. I think that maybe some people could benefit from more resources, maybe conversations, readings, webinars, that will improve cultural competence, because there are definitely people that just don't understand. And, that can only benefit leadership development. So I look forward to maybe having a little bit more direction in, in as a whole for the core. And, partnerships is another thing that I want to talk about. I had the amazing opportunity to shadow a former core member at the school she directs, Ashley Gibson. She was incredible. This is one of the best experiences I've had thus far in TFA. She was so transparent, so honest. She told me the ups, downs, highs, lows, the really, really lows. And it was just awesome to be able to be involved in a community that reflects the community that I'm going to be teaching in. They were only a few neighborhoods away from each other. And I just thought that it was an awesome resource, and I feel as though it was very helpful for what I can expect in the upcoming year. Um, and she was awesome. I just want to shout that out. She was very incredible and kind of the type of person that I look forward to becoming as a leader. And just want to finish this off by saying that the staff is extremely well organized. Everything was clear, where we need to go, what we needed to do. The events were seamless. Transitioning between events was very easy. All questions were cleared up. And also, I just want to say that the staff is much more diverse than the incoming core, of those people I've met so far. And they are awesome and fun and very intelligent people, and I can see why a lot of you are the leaders that you are and are still involved in Teach for America, because you're good at what you do. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening to me, and I look forward to seeing everyone in June.
Hi, my name is Taylor Barnes. I'm a second year core member here in Chicago. I teach early childhood education on the west side in Austin. Um, Finishing up my second year, and this is.
Hi, I'm Morgan Williams. I'm a 2010 Houston alum, and currently I am at Citizen Schools as an external engagement director. So, yeah. So,
My time as a core member has been super positive. I am wrapping up my second year, and I feel like throughout the entire process, I have received a lot of support, not just from the instructional team, but also from what is the name of your team? Experience, culture, and leadership team, specifically from Kaylee Ryan and Sonia Houston. Helped me develop a lot as a leader, which I can talk more about in the next question. But overall,
Um, I was in Houston. I moved back to Chicago in 2013, and I will say that the Teach for America as an organization has authentically continued to engage me, even now. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. Like, oh my god, I've been at the core like 4 years. I'm old. I am old. But um, there's there's two ways that they do that. So I feel like them presenting you with opportunities to continue to grow as a leader in education or beyond, and then also share your voice as an alum. So they really do value that.
So, as a core member, part of the work that I had to do coming into the classroom and working with my students was reflecting upon who I was as a person so I could be my authentic self for my students. And I am fortunate enough to have a coach, Kaylee, who connected me with Morgan because she pushed me to think about who in my life was of color that could be a mentor for me outside of my family, and I really couldn't find someone. And I felt like as a black woman, that's something that's super important for me in order to become that leader, especially in this fight, because I felt like a lot of the times I didn't have someone that I could look up to and talk to about the things that I was experiencing in my classroom. So she reached out and connected me with Morgan, and she's just been great.
Oh, thanks. You're great too. No, but for me, um, as coming out of the core, I realized I was usually the only person in the room, the only person of color, or the only woman of color in the room. And when I thought about some of the opportunities post core, similar, it's kind of scary, but similar to the kids, you could think, oh, well, those are only really available to them. And so I was happy to be in a position where I heard you were interested about engagement, development, fundraising, and I am in a role like that. And I do look like you. Well, kind of. But to have that chance to give back and share my experiences and my path with you as you carve out your own, I think that whole idea of, kind of reaching back to pull somebody forward is so important. And um, seriously, it's ingrained within the Teach for America culture to do that. And I think that's what we do in our everyday work as a core member and beyond. Um, like if you think about why you might have went into the classroom, it's like I want to make sure that these kids have the opportunities. I want to make sure that women of color coming out the core have opportunities beyond even what I have. And if I could share that, I'm happy to do that.
I think in terms of as a core member, seeing how the ECE staff is really unified, and you can feel that culture amongst them is a good model for me as a core member in terms of when I go into the classroom and working with my coworkers, my co-teachers, admin. That's something that I myself try to model, as well as going through Institute, there was definitely a big push on developing relationships with coworkers, but more importantly with parents. And I think that for me, coming into the classroom, made that a priority. And in my vision, that's something that I really focused on. And after a year and a half, I think that has been the biggest benefit for me in my classroom, just seeing how engaged my parents are with their students, and that just it just creates a culture in my classroom that I never thought I would be able to achieve. So I definitely appreciated that. And that was something that the whole team pushed, and that was just continuous for the past year and a half. Also, I something that really helped me in my professional and personal life was the push to be more reflective in my practice and my experiences and how they impact who I am. And obviously that's made tremendous impact for me as a teacher and for my kids, but also I carry that into my personal life. And I just feel like going through Teach for America as a core member, I came in pieces, and because I'm able to be more reflective in every part of my life, I kind of was able to put those pieces together. I'm not quite whole yet, but I feel like I'm getting there, and I'm getting a sense of who I am, which is super important for me. And then also, I really enjoyed having felt supported and encouraged by ECE staff in particular to step out of the classroom and go try and transition into a role that still supports classroom work, specifically in institute. So I'll be working as a CTE this summer, but that's not something that, you know, I ever imagined myself doing, but it was through the support and the encouragement of ECE staff to apply. And now I'm like super excited because I understand what's at stake. I get the opportunity to coach incoming core members who are teaching my kids, which is super important to me. So definitely different things that I really enjoy about being a core member here.
I do think the further and further you get away from being in the core, the further and further away you can get from the mission itself of One Day. You go out into the real world and beyond the education space, and you see the effects of if we weren't doing this work. You see that every day in the corporate space. You see that. But at the same time, it's easy to feel like, oh, well, there's not much you can do. There's not much you can say, or I shouldn't say anything. But I feel like Teach for America, as an alum, they've done a great job of pulling me back in, inspiring me, and empowering me to know that no matter what my path is, I still have a voice in trying to give back and accomplish the mission. And then, and speaking of having a voice, they they have also done a very good job of learning what Morgan is wants to do and how she wants to engage with Teach for America. So me, I like learning. I like to talk, and I like to network. And so, by inviting me to things like a couple years ago, they laid out their strategic plan, and they invited alum to come in and reflect and comment on that plan, to share my voice in that way. That was impactful. Last year, I participated in what was called the Next Level Leadership Cohort, where it was 6 months of professional development opportunities alongside of professionals or alum, but in a variety of industries and sectors who were coming together to think about how their unique paths could still lead them to give back or pursue the Teach for America mission of One Day. I even had an executive coach, which was awesome. Thank you, Laura, Nally, for that. But to really refine me as a person and reflect on who I was, who I wanted to be, what I wanted my path to look like. And it was okay that it wasn't like yours or like his. It was just a great opportunity to do that, and then even for them to engage me to mentor you. This is you. I didn't meet you out on the street. We were authentically and purposefully connected, and so I think that that's really meaningful as to how they understand what means a lot to me, what means a lot to you, and the fact that they're even asking us right now, to share what we want, how we feel engaged. I think that's really important.
As a core member of color specifically, I feel like my development as a culturally competent teacher in some senses has been halted, because I find that I learn best through conversation and bouncing ideas off of other people, and I feel like there are so many different people at so many different levels that it's difficult to do that. And I wish that there was, earlier on in my institute days, I wish that there was some way to connect people in the ECE cohort specifically to have these conversations early on, because now I feel like, maybe there's one or two people that I feel comfortable enough engaging with these conversations, maybe definitely on staff, but of my peers, maybe one or two. And it's hard for me to, I feel like that's a very vulnerable conversation to have with people, and it's hard for me to engage in that with people that I don't necessarily know that well. So if there was an opportunity to create that foundation early on, I think that would be super meaningful for me. And anyone else that feels like they're kind of at this roadblock where they can't get to where they want to be because they don't necessarily have the peer support, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and that just goes into the other note that I made, which was I feel like there's not a lot of culture between the ECE core members. I mean, I have friends on ECE who sometimes I feel like they don't feel the same way as me, and for me it's like maybe at that point it's time to reach out to other core members, but I don't feel like there's an opportunity to do that all the time. And then it was awesome that we were able to connect and be connected, but I felt like I had to go through a lot of different people. I wish that there was, I could go online and I could, look at people who have similar interests and passions as me or are involved with organizations that, seem intriguing to me, and I could find their contact information and reach out. Like, for people who aren't as lucky to have these connections, like maybe that would be useful for them as they start to transition out of the core and figure out how they, like I have this question, how can I stay in this fight? Where can I apply my skills? And honestly, I feel like I've learned that I'm interested in development and fundraising because of all of these conversations that I've had. And what would that look like if I didn't have that opportunity, if I didn't have a mentor? So
Yeah, and for me, to your point, having that type of network and accessibility to that network, and those opportunities is so important. And it does kind of upset me that you are put in a position where you're coming out of the core, or you want to step out of the classroom and you don't necessarily know where to go. It's kind of like you're blindly shooting out there, like, hey, like natural networking. But I do feel like when I was coming out of the core, we had this thing called TFA Net, where you were able to, on your own time, at your own pace, explore different career opportunities. If you found something, you were able to locate alum at that company or in that field and connect with them in an authentic, not weird, creepy, stalkerish way. Um, and that really did um, help me grow as a professional. And I honestly, I used to tell people, like, one of the benefits of Teach for America is you become a part of such a robust network, and a robust brand. And coming out the core, honestly, I have not actually had to like go on a traditional job search. Just through the network of being a part of Teach for America, opportunities have come to me. And not to say I haven't been positioned for those, or I'm entitled to those, but I am a person similar to you who will take advantage of the opportunities that they're presented. And as I get further along, I'm kind of like you, like, where do I find those opportunities? Unless I just happen to be talking to some great person like Sonia Houston or Whitney Dyke, who are great. But otherwise, I'm not sure where to access those opportunities.
yeah.
And they do come through the One Day newsletter, which is true, which I love. I love to see the alumni for professional reasons, for my own growth and development, and for opportunities to see how I can give back or share my voice or talents. I do feel like they do a great job of giving that information, but that's information that it's not on my own. It's not discovered on my own time.
Mm-hmm.
It's controlled information, so I can't just go explore
Yeah.
as I might want to.
Thank you for being as reflective as you are as an organization. I think it's really meaningful to me as a core member to know that my voice is heard and that I can leave the core and things will be different and for the better, hopefully. And that as I go into an alumni, you're actually valuing their voice as well. Because honestly, that is a fear that you leave the core and then it's kind of just like, bye, you're a ghost. So that's
And
nice.
it can be. So if you want it to be, it can be. But if you don't want it to be, it does not have to be that way. And I think for the core members who still are willing to engage, thank you guys for continuing to engage us. Because I'm a person, I did not get into this because it was my lifelong dream. Someone inspired me to do this work. And then I got into the classroom and I did the work, and then I was self-motivated. But everyone can always needs that fire lit. And for you guys to continue to engage me in conversations and continue to give me opportunities to share my experience with people like Taylor, and to hear her experience and see how things have changed. You're teaching me as well. I really appreciate that because most organizations don't give you this opportunity.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Brutt, and I'm a 2008 Charlotte Corps member. I moved to Chicago after 3 years. After I finished my 2 years in Charlotte, I stayed a third year at my placement school in order to finish my degree and to ensure some of my high schoolers graduated. When I moved back to Chicago, because this is where I'm originally from, I was really determined to make an impact here in the community where I was from. But after 3 years of teaching, I didn't have the best experience teaching in Charlotte, so I was trying to leave the classroom. I reached out to everybody I could here in Chicago. I really tried to utilize my alumni status, and I talked to everybody I could at Teach for America. I was looking to try to leave the classroom, but after not very successful attempts, I ended up back in the classroom when I moved back to Chicago, and that was difficult for me because I was hoping that I would have gotten more support. Most people at Teach for America had just said, oh, the longer you teach, it'll just look better on your resume. Just keep teaching until you find another job. And it wasn't until I met Sonia, after I had talked to probably 5 different alumni people, coordinators, whatever position they had, that Sonia sat with me, and the first time we met, we sat down, we spoke for 2 hours at a Starbucks. And I just felt so much better after leaving that conversation. And even though I had been out of the Corps for 4 years at that point, I felt like what I had to say and what I was trying to do mattered. That I wasn't a bad person for not wanting to be a teacher anymore. Teaching high school special education was not easy. I ended up doing it for 7 years, and it was probably too long, quite frankly. I know Teach for America doesn't like that, but you do get tired and burnt out, and it is a reality working in these communities, especially with the lack of support. And after my meeting with Sonia, we just kept in touch. She's still helpful to this day. I did leave the classroom this year, and it's not in the education field, and I would rather have a job that's still for the mission. And so Sonia continues to help me and keeps her ears open and sends me ideas when she comes across things. And so I feel like I'm not forgotten. Like, I'm not just a number. Like, oh, I did this program 7.5 years ago, 8 years ago, and now, like, I'm done with. But she's still trying to keep me engaged and going to different events, and I actually went out to lunch with her to talk about different possibilities on my 30th birthday. Yeah, I'll do the math for you. Turned 30. So she's just fantastic, and I know that Teach for America has gone through a lot of changes, and just being kept up to speed on it is really important to me because I do feel very connected. When I was in college, I'd always wanted to be a teacher, and that's why I did Teach for America. It wasn't as a stepping stone to something else, but then once I realized that I couldn't be a career teacher for my own sake, that was okay, and I could continue being a part of Teach for America, and I wasn't chastised for it. Let's see. A few things I think Teach for America could do better was, like I said, when I first moved to Chicago, I felt pressured to continue teaching, even though I knew that my time was up with teaching, that I had given what I could and changed the lives that I felt like I could. And they made me feel guilty for wanting to leave. Granted, I graduated college in 2008 when the economy crashed, and in 2010 when I was done with my core experience and continued teaching, that everything wasn't at the greatest point, but I still feel like the answer to an alum is not just, oh, keep teaching, because you almost become more jaded, because I switched schools and it was really a mess, and it was really difficult to feel like you're making that impact and staying positive about it all the time without any sort of support in your life. So that's one thing I would say would be beneficial. But I do appreciate what Sonia at least has done for me. I don't really talk to any other people at the office, but Sonia doesn't forget about me. She emails me, hey girl, what's up? And I appreciate it a lot.
Hi, my name is Katika Gooder, and I'm a 2006 Las Vegas Valley Corps member. I've had the pleasure this year of working with Chicago Northwest Indiana's school leadership team. They've done amazing things to help me kind of lay out my vision for my life. They've met up with me one-on-one. They've hosted workshops that I've been a part of, conferences, and to be honest, through their due diligence, I am going to be headed to Harvard in the fall for their school leadership program. I wouldn't be where I am without their help and support, and I'm just so grateful for everything that they have done for me. I know firsthand that they just haven't helped my career, but they've helped other Corps members in the Noble Network, just like me, decide what pathway to school leadership is right for them. So once again, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for making a commitment to Chicago Public Schools, both charter and traditional, to have TFA alum leading and setting a vision for the kids we serve.